Do you know who engineered the trade to bring him here to Sacramento?
No, I do not.
Our next guest, former Sacramento Kings coach, of course, TV analyst, and he was a GM when he engineered the trade to bring The Rock to Sacramento. Jerry Reynolds, how are you today, Jerry?
I'm really good. I'm just enjoying. I had my walk in already. I listened to 1140. Chris and Whitey. It's just. Couldn't be better. I never. First time I've ever been able to get 1140 up here in South Lake Tahoe.
Wow!
Look at that.
Yeah, it was a little scratchy. I don't know if it was, the signal or just you guys are scratchy.
Scratchy.
That's us. That's on us.
Can you tell us about the deal, how it came together when you brought in Mitch Richmond? Because obviously, I would think of all the deals you did, that's got to be one of the ones you're most proud of.
Yeah, that is. I always said that probably was the best one. We had the third pick, and Nelly was with the Warriors at the time, and he wanted Billy Owens.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but there were some issues at the time, so we end up basically drafting Billy in effect for them, and then we needed to actually even sign him. It's a case where I think they felt like Billy was going to be a major star and that they needed more size. And of course he provided more size, didn't provide the more star. I got criticized a lot in the Bay Area for how could they, typical of the Sabonis, Halliburton thing, it's like, how could the Kings be so dumb? And I said, wait a minute, I might be dumb, but Mitch was rookie of the year. And the second year he was averaging 22 and a half. And then, I had a close up personal vision of him getting 44 on us. So I didn't see the risk, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And, in the Kings, the way I really took it was that the Kings needed a star, just never really didn't have one and hadn't had a star of that caliber. And of course didn't until Weber came.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's kind of how it took a little while, but we also got Les Jepson in it. I don't want you to forget that.
That's
now.
Right. Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, because the last time I saw Les, he lives in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. He said, "You do know that Mitch was the throw-in, right?" I said, Les, you're exactly right.
Yep. Yeah. Jerry, talking about the NBA Finals, and me and Whitey have been going back and forth, and I can't see any possible path for Miami to win this series, and it's mainly due to the fact that Nikola Jokic just seems like he's an impossible riddle to solve. Is there anything Miami can do that you think can slow him down?
I think injuries. That's it.
Yeah, really. I know. Really, just him not playing.
I think Denver's, enough better size-wise, talent-wise, and they've got a coach the equal probably to Spoelstra. I don't know if he's, they're certainly two top-level coaches, Absolutely. So that won't be a factor. And, I think Miami can win a game or two. I kind of picked them to be a 6-game series, and I kind of still think that. They're such a gutty, tough bunch. And there'll be nights when Strus and Robinson and Martin make a shot or two. Right. And but to your initial question, I just don't see how they beat Denver.
Jerry, how impressed were you with Denver's quick start, given that they'd had that long layoff?
Well, surprised to be one for sure. I didn't expect that. I really thought that Miami would have a chance. They've been great in first games all through the playoffs, and they were coming off, a tough win against the Celtics. I just thought they'd go in there and really play them tough, and they just didn't. Of course, it's amazing actually that they had kind of a chance there in the fourth, but they couldn't. They just couldn't make any shots.
Would you be willing to allow, like as a coach, are you willing to live more with Jokic scoring on you, like if he gives you 40 or 50 points in a given game, or do you feel like doubling him and making him a passer is the way that you would at least like to go down if he's going to kill you?
I just would, I would hate to allow him to pass. I'd sure like to make it tougher on him passing, because that makes everybody else probably a notch better than they are. And if he gets, 35 or so, and he only gets 5 assists, I think they've got a better chance of winning that way. But, and I'll say this, and too, is Miami, and I'll be surprised if we don't see a lot more zone the next game. I thought the zone was a little tougher for Denver there in a couple of stretches. So we'll see. But, with the 2-man game, with the Joker and Jamal Murray, I mean, man, I don't know how many two-man packages we've seen better than that.
Yeah.
Speaking of twos, Jerry, and the great Jerry Reynolds, our guest here on Sactown Sports, what did you think of Miami shooting 2 free throws? Did you think, no, they just didn't get to the basket, or did you think maybe Denver got the benefit of the home whistle a little bit?
Well, I didn't really think about it at the time until the announcers brought it up, and I was thinking, wow, that's about impossible to only get 2 free throws. I don't recall thinking they should have got more free throws at the time. And I mean, I do think that Jimmy Butler, I think, pointed it out. I mean, he says we got to put more pressure on the rim, and he said it about himself, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. You can't go 3 of those guys went 2 of 23 from the floor, and it's hard to do that if you're really going at the basket, and, without drawing some fouls. So, yeah, I think that I'm not saying that Denver didn't get. They might have got the benefit of a whistle or two, but so did Miami.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I just think it was one of those fluke kind of things that we won't see again. And I think Denver's going to have to, as good as they played in that first half, they're going to have to play like that in the second half. Because they it wasn't that big a gap after the first half, but they were terrific in that first half when they needed to be.
Jerry, moving on to the Kings and some draft talk here. Nothing too specific about players or anything, but I'm just curious, when you're sitting at number 24, which is a position that the Kings haven't been in ages now, how do you attack the draft process when you frankly just don't know who's even going to be there at number 24?
Well, I think you really try to work at, basically if 3 or 4 guys, maybe even more, that have a chance to be there, and then kind of narrow it down to, the 2 or 3 you hope are, and basically based on the idea that you're hoping those guys, can be NBA players. I've talked, Whitey about this a little bit. It's like in years gone by when Kings were good. It's hard to remember now, but when they're real good, they were drafting late and really got some terrific players like Kevin Martin at 24 and Gerald Wallace at I think 28 or something. Hedo Turkoglu at 16 or 17. I mean, those were really top flight players, and they couldn't play for a while because they couldn't find time.
Right.
I mean, Hedo was so good you couldn't keep him off the floor. But so it's, I think when you're really good, you can draft with the idea of we've got time for this guy. He doesn't have to play. And so that makes it a lot easier, because when you're in the lottery, you're looking for a star, and your fans are looking for a star. And quite honestly, a lot of them aren't stars.
Right.
Yeah. Jerry, we appreciate your time. Before we let you get back to life by the lake, we were talking a lot about nicknames today, Kings players' nicknames. Did you have, and I know you made up a number of them, do you have a favorite of all your time here with the Sacramento Kings, a player who really fit the nickname, or just a nickname that you really enjoyed for all the Sacramento Kings?
Probably my favorite was Rudy Gay. I called him the Great Rudini.
Yeah.
That was a personal favorite.
The Great Rudini, and Rudy Trey. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with that. So, I mean, the other one maybe was Brockman. I called him, you know, the Brock Ness Monster.
Yes,
That's right.
Oh, that's terrific. That was so terrific. How could we forget about that one?
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's a guy you had to love watching him play.
Yes.
He really wasn't that good, but everything he had, and I mean, he bounced a few folks around. I mean, he knew he was on the floor. He was a Brock. You'd see guys rolling their eyes like, holy crap, this guy, get him out of here.
Thanks, Coach. I'll see you next week. I guess Monday for the old-fashioned 3. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
I came up here to start preparing for it.
Great. Awesome. Thank you.
Guys.
Yeah. The one and only Jerry Reynolds. You
best.
called it. The great Rudini.
The great Rudini is a personal favorite. And he did used to have a lot of just Rudy. Yeah. Rudy Trey.
Yeah.
He would have so much fun with Rudy Gay's name. And then, the Brock Ness Monster is one that's going to be forgotten in time because that was a very low period of Kings basketball where just frankly, not many people were watching, but Brock Ness Monster was really perfect with the name and with how it fit his game as well.
All right, Chris, you asked Jerry about the 24th pick. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm
to go head to head with me.
Let's do it
on the all 24th pick draft.
All 24.
Picking 2 teams of players who were drafted 24th in the NBA.
You'd be surprised how many names.
Are you ready? You think you're ready? Are you ready?
No, I'm ready.
Right.
I'm ready. There's some good names out there.
Yeah,
Very surprising.
Yeah, coming right back with that on Chris and Co. Sactown Sports.